George, absolutely lovely to see you this morning, and thank you so much for giving up your time to chat to us. So I know, obviously, I've known True Bearing and yourself for quite a few years from the networking events and various bits of works we've been involved in. But if you could tell me, please, what True Bearing is and what you guys do.
For those that don't know us, Rob, we're a firm of chartered financial planners, independent financial advisors, and that word independence very important because it doesn't mean we're independent as a business. What it means is that our advice is independent, so it's not connected. We're not connected to any investment company, insurance company, or that sort of thing. You say. So we sit with the client and we take them through a financial planning process, and our job is to help them achieve what they want out of life in terms of their dreams and their goals and their aspirations, and make sure that the money's there at the right time to do those things that they want to do.
How have you got to this stage? Because you're now chairman of this behemoth, if you like, of a company. Did you envisage back then when you guys started it, the six of you, what you wanted to be, or has it just been a gradual, let's just keep being good at what we do and looking after people?
No, we always wanted to take it that step further, as it were, and just see how far we could take it, I suppose. If we affect one person in the Northwest with good advice and good service and help them have a better financial life, and that's a big part of a better life altogether, really, then that was a success. And then if we can do two people, that's twice as good as one. And if you can do thousands, that's better than hundreds, isn't it? So the ambition has never changed, and it's still the same today. It's just to affect positively more lives. Yeah. Today we're doing it. There's nearly 90 people now here as employees of our firm, and we affect thousands upon thousands of people.
Yeah.
But the sort of thread that runs right through the middle of all of this has never altered.
I can see how it's easy to hang on to that thread and those ethics and that way of doing things when there's perhaps 10 of you in a room. But when you get to 90, and obviously your geographical reach is a lot bigger, what I'd really love to know is how do you hang on to that? Because it must get harder the bigger you get and the further away from the car. How do you keep it on track?
I won't say it gets harder, Rob, because I think launching a business and getting to the first 10 or 15 employees, let's say, is probably the hardest bit. Going from that level to 25 or 30 isn't easy, but it's not as hard as it was going from 0 to 10 to 15. And so it goes on, as it were, But what you have to continually do, in my role now as chair, I was MD and chair for a long time, is to pull yourself out of the day-to-day and sort of sit back and see the bigger picture as to what your business has become, and then identify how and what the strategy is to take yourself from where you are to where you want to be next. Yeah. So I've got a file, Rob, which is my 2-year business plans. I've constantly write 2-year business plans, and I'm on about version 10 or 12 or whatever it is now of my 2-year business plans.
Yeah. So each 2 years that gets renewed, and I guess although we mentioned that the core of what you do of giving people that security hasn't changed, how has the evolving world changed around you, if you like? That means, I guess, having a 2-year plan then allows you to be flexible. But how has that changed, and has it thrown up challenges along the way?
Well, it does. The outside world is always challenging, as you know. So back in 2003, when we launched, it was all pension mis-selling and endowment mis-selling. And I remember thinking at that time, if we just went out and gave good advice and good service, we'd be almost unique. And so that thread has carried through all the way. This last year, 2022, was probably one of the toughest years in the 20, with COVID and lockdowns, and then the war in Ukraine, and Liz Truss really was just the sort of icing on the disaster cake of last year. So for us in our business, that our clients were very nervous last year with everything that was going on.
Yeah.
But we're in a new year, 2023. Optimism is starting to come out a little bit now, and we're seeing again an acceleration in clients coming to us to invest more monies and do more things with their monies. So you go through each year you just take it as it comes, don't you, Rob? You have to work your way through it.
Yeah, and where does your passion come from? I don't want to be too gushing here, but and I know you're not that much older than me, but whenever I've met you, you've always had a smile on your face. You've always been driven. You've always been excited about the next thing that's happening. Where does that come from? Do you never just think, look, we've done really well. Another year of this. Gosh, where does this enthusiasm and passion come from?
Well, again, I keep saying somebody said something to me at some stage. I've had a lot of meetings and been to a lot of presentations, and this idea that if your job is like your hobby, it's never a job, is it? It's just you're going to work, but you're not really going to work. You're just going to have some fun each day, and I would say 80 or 90% of my so-called work is just fun. There's always a couple of things that have to be sorted, that you'd rather not be having to deal with. But then this whole self-discipline thing comes through, and if I don't like a job, I'll do it first, and then it's done. 9:30 in the morning, it's done, and I can enjoy the rest of the day and do the good things, as it were,
Yeah, and I guess as the leader of a firm, you have got to lead by example as well, haven't you? You've got to show, as you mentioned, the juniors and across the board. Do you think that's?
It's all by example, Rob, because you've got children, and you might give them words of wisdom, and what do? They completely ignore what you've just said, Rob. In fact, they'll probably do the opposite.
I've got staff as well like that, George.
So it's exactly the same in your business. It really isn't what you say so much as what you do.
Yeah.
And good. I think good business leaders are very authentic. What you see is what you get, and so people that you work with get to know what you are, as it were. And there's something there that they can trust, and it's so important if you're working in a business that you can trust the people that are leading the business.
I'm really pleased you've said that, and you've used that word authentic, because it's something that we absolutely live by. But I think sometimes talking to, and again sounding like an old dinosaur here at 50, but sometimes very, very young people coming into businesses, and sometimes you feel, is it swayed? It's all about apps and algorithms, and you kind of think, well, what about this? Just trust, look after people, good advice. And would you agree? Do you think that there isn't really any magic source other than just being straight with people, being good at what you do, and having their interests at heart?
Yeah, you could be the straightest person in the world, though, and if your business model is stinks, then you're never going to make it, are you? So you might have to rethink your business model. I first went into business, Rob, when I was 28, and it was nothing to do with chartered financial planning. It was a fitness business that I set up. And I've run 3 businesses prior to setting True Bearing up. And I didn't set True Bearing up till I was 47. So you could argue it's taken me a lot of years to learn how to do it more right than wrong, if you like.
Yeah.
So I'm a very slow starter.
Yeah, and we're I suppose nearly out of of time. But do you think it's all right then to make mistakes? And I know there are mistakes and there's mistakes, and we're not talking about, you know, letting people down. But is that really how you've learned on the way, by doing things maybe not in the best way and refining?
It's exactly what I'm talking about. I think we've always, whatever business I've had, we've always been trying to do a good job for the clients. And I don't think we've ever let any client down at all. But that doesn't necessarily mean your business is successful. And I worked very hard in my first 3 businesses to get them off the ground and to make them work. And to some people, it might have looked from the outside in that everything was going well, but I knew that it wasn't. I was working 10 times as hard as any margin that we might be making as a business, you know. So you refine things and you refine things. I've always believed there's probably 100 right ways and 100 wrong ways, and as long as I've managed to get one of the right ways, then I'll be okay going forward.
Absolutely. Last bit from me then. I could talk to you all day, George, but you're in the elevator pitch, as the Americans say, the chat in the lift, 30 seconds, someone gets in that lift and says, "Oh, George, you're the chairman of True Bearing. I'm starting a business. I want it to be successful. What should I do?" And you've got sort of 25 seconds to, what would that nugget you would give them?
I learned years ago, Rob, the phrase or the saying that if you want to change, if you want your life to change, then you have to change.
Yeah.
And if you want your life to be better, then you have to be better. So it's actually all down to you, and you have to start looking at yourself and working out what you need to improve on.
Yeah. Wow. Fantastic. George, thank you so much for your time. You've got, how far into your next 2-year business plan are you?
We're only just really onto the one that we're working on right now. We've been acquiring other firms. We're about 2/3 of the way through that acquisition process. We'll finish that probably by the end of this year, 2023. And now, with the firms we've already bought and those that are yet to be bought, as it were, it's the integration and bringing them all together to make it one big team, really. And that's the work for this year and next.
Brilliant. Good luck with it. I'm sure you know what you're doing by now. But all joking aside, thank you so much for
Thanks, Rob.
chatting to us. It's always a joy to meet you, and keep up the great work.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.